and start with the prayer. I welcome everybody to today's Senate on October 24th. Thank you, Director Santee. Today's guest speaker is Sam Dorr. He serves as the president of the Academic Senate. Before he comes up, I would just like to say an initial thank you to Dr. Dorr for being here today to talk to us, as well as to remind all of you that you are welcome to ask as many questions before the floor. So please be active and ask Dr. Dorr any questions that you have after his presentation. So I would now like to welcome to the podium Dr. Sam Dorr.
How's everyone doing? All right, I promised Drew that I wouldn't take too long, and so I spent a good hour this morning reducing the number of slides. So basically what I wanted to do is, for some of you probably don't know what the Academic Senate is, and I'll admit that I didn't know what the Academic Senate was until I started serving on it. So our Academic Senate at UD, we're very unique. So many universities have what's called a faculty senate, but we have a real academic senate that is made up of tenure-line faculty, non-tenure-line faculty, deans, and yes, 8 fantastic undergraduate students. 8 fantastic students, one of them is a grad student. So 7 fantastic undergrad students, 1 fantastic grad student, and the provost. Some of you serve already, but this is the list of the senators for this year. So as you can see, the Senate distribution is mostly by the proportion of tenure-line faculty within that division. So the division with the most is humanities and arts. But every unit of the college, so every school, has at least 3 senators from the faculty and 1 student, as you can see. If you're a student senator, can you raise your hand on Academic Senate? Yes, that's you. Yay, great. You can see who those are. Basically what we do is basically 3 things. So one is legislative authority. So the Academic Senate is in charge of the academic policies of the institution. The Board of Trustees in the documents, governing documents of the university, give sole legislative authority on academic issues to the Academic Senate. So this is approving programs, sort of university-wide curricular changes, admissions criteria, things like that. We also give powers as Senate to the different units, and so we give legislative concurrence. But also, one of the major things we do is a lot of consultation. A lot of consultation with different groups across campus. We have 4 subcommittees. Each have an SGA representative included. So the executive committee meets weekly. We meet weekly. You can show up if you want to. It's from 10 to 11:30 here in KU. Jada Brown serves on that. We also have the Academic Policies Committee, which meets weekly. They deal with curricular issues mostly. The Faculty Affairs Committee, where there are students on that, which is great. It's awesome to have students weigh in on what should the rules for tenure be. And the Student Academic Policies Committee deals with honor code, set other issues as they come up. This is the list of the Executive Committee. And the Senate officers: I'm President. Carissa Crane teaches in biology, is Vice President. Lee Dixon in psychology, serves as Secretary. And then the committee chairs: Naomi Deonda from Religious Studies is the chair of the Academic Policies Committee. Carissa Crane the faculty affairs, and Sharon Grotto from music is the chair of the student academic policies. So just to give you a brief overview of what we're doing this year, two big things were huge priorities this fall. The first was a set of amendments to the Academic Senate's Constitution to change the composition of the body. So currently, if you I should have gone back. As you can see here, there's only one full-time non-tenure track faculty member serving as senator. But if you look at the number of lecturers, artists in residence, clinical faculty that the university has added over the past 5 years, it has grown enormously. So 10 years ago, there was about 50, now there's about 200. And so these amendments passed to add 2 additional full-time non-tenure track faculty members to the Academic Senate. So that was passed by the full faculty on October 6th. And then on Friday, voting will open on revisions to the university promotion and tenure policy. These revisions I'll talk about again in a second. We're part of a 7-year process of conversations with faculty, students, and the community. Senate is also working on a 5-year review of the Common Academic Program, so you all have to take CAP classes, right? Does everyone think CAP is perfect in every way? No, okay, great. So there's opportunities to make some changes to CAP. The Academic Policies Committee is busy looking at specific parts of CAP this year. So this year I think they're looking at the COM requirement, as well as Humanities Commons, social justice and diversity, and capstone. The other big thing that we're working on is trying to mitigate bias in SET as well as in our classrooms. This is part of the Senate's commitment to being part of the university's commitment to becoming an anti-racist university. But I'll talk a little bit about that work in a bit. And just general issues about shared governance, return to work. What do we do in this sort of weird kind of post-COVID, but not really post-COVID world? So first I'll just talk about the university promotion and tenure policy. You probably have all heard about tenure, but maybe you don't know exactly what tenure is. So promotion and tenure, promotion is pretty simple, but tenure means that the university wants, tenure comes from the Latin word to hold, right? So it's not I think we often think about it as like, you can never be fired if you're tenured, but it's really, tenure is more about a commitment. It's a reciprocal commitment between faculty and the institution itself. The institution says, guess what? If you don't screw up really, really bad, we will not fire you, right? We will guarantee a place for you. And then the faculty member says, okay, yeah, like UD's my home. I owe something to UD. I will give more and participate more in new ways right now that I'm tenured. And so making these decisions is really important for the quality of the institution. Promotion tenure are the means by which the university retains its most valuable scholars and valuable teachers, and sustains excellence in its instructional program and promotes its mission for service. Our current policy was approved in 2007. Can anyone guess what has changed between 2007 and today? What major thing happened in 2015 at the University of Dayton? I'll give you a hint, he doesn't have much hair on the top of his head.
We got a new president.
We got a new president, right. So with the new president comes new priorities, right? And so when Eric came to UD, he did this big strategic visioning process where he's like, okay, how can we be, what is UD going to be like in 10 years? And he set a whole bunch of new priorities for faculty. Entrepreneurship, more experiential learning, right? Deeper commitments to inclusive excellence. This is all great, but the problem is our current tenure and promotion policy doesn't say you should work towards inclusive excellence. It doesn't say you should be doing community engaged learning. And so what we need to do is we need to revise these, right? We need to, the strategic visioning that Eric did in 2016, revealed this disconnect, right? And that we need to bring these things together. Community engaged scholarship, interdisciplinary work, venture creation, entrepreneurship, contributions to inclusive excellence. These need to be part of faculty promotion and tenure. Otherwise, what's the point, right? It's just like if your teacher says you're supposed to do all these extra assignments but doesn't grade you on it, then you're not going to do it, right? And so it's important for us to align these policies. So basically, the big things that will change: it allows for early tenure. It makes it really values the wide breadth of things that faculty do, including inclusive excellence, and provides for professional development for the committee members. So this vote will start October 29th for faculty, tenure line faculty. Voting will be open for a week and a half, and then we'll find out if it passes or not, right? The other things, as I mentioned, are the Academic Policies Committee CAP 5-year review, first looking at humanities commons, oral communication, capstone, and diversity and social justice courses. And then the other thing that I mentioned is actually it's a great collaboration between SGA and Senate. It's this working group that to look at ways to mitigate bias in SET and in classrooms. So this is stems from work that the Student Academic Policies Committee developed last year and presented to Senate in April 2021. And we're taking it to the next level, so we're really trying to implement it. So we have a working group that's made up of faculty, equal parts faculty and students from SGA, people from student development, faculty, to think of new ways to mitigate, to help mitigate some of these bias incidents. A lot of faculty are very upset by SETs, right? It is not uncommon, especially for faculty, female faculty members of color, international faculty members, to open their email on Christmas Eve morning and get an email from the university with all your sets. And so you get the email at like midnight, so you wake up at 7 a.m. and you open it up, and to find words that, if they were said out loud or scrawled on a whiteboard in a classroom, would clearly be a violation of our equity compliance. It would be a clear equity compliance violation, right? And this is pretty normal for many faculty members. So faculty members are really upset about this. Students are rightfully upset about issues of bias that happen in the classroom. And one of the things that we're trying to work on together is trying to find better ways for these two groups to communicate, right? For faculty and students to be able to communicate better to avoid these as they go on. The other thing that I'm doing this year, I don't know if the Senate President has ever done this before, but I hold office hours. So I hold them in person in the Met Lounge from 2 to 3 on Mondays. I also hold them on Zoom from 9 to 10 on Wednesdays. No one has ever come to the 9 to 10 on Wednesday one, so I just literally sit in my office staring at my laptop for an hour. So feel free to stop by if you want. Also, just holding regular meetings with administration, monthly with the provost, with student development, with student government, really trying to be as transparent, inclusive, and empathetic, because it's been a really rough 20 months. Right? And recognizing that faculty are really struggling, students are really struggling, trying to get their footing, and even administrators who get paid a lot more than us are really struggling too. And recognizing that, I think, is really important. So that's kind of what Senate's been up to. I'm more interested, I wanted to give you this update, but I really want to hear your questions and see what I can do to help you and better understand some of the things that you've been thinking.
All right, Dr. Dorff, thank you for coming today. My question is this.
Tell me your name. Sorry, I just don't.
Sorry, yeah. Senator Thomas.
Okay.
You hinted at this when you said that not too many people might not necessarily know Academic Senate. So my question is this. How do we change that? You just shared with us all that you guys are doing academic year 2021 to 2022. How do we get the average student that's not here today updated? Because it's a lot of important stuff what you guys do, so how do we change that?
Sure. So one thing that we do is the Senate agendas or posted online. We have a Senate website, right? And also in like the campus digest, you know that email that you usually erase like every Thursday or Monday? There's a link, you know, to our agenda and what we're doing. You know, the vast majority of things that the Senate does, you know, really do affect students, right? So, like they affect everyone on campus. One thing that I've tried to do is hold office hours, right? And so now on Wednesdays, I hold them in my physical office, granted over Zoom, but I guess you can stop by anyway. I'm in 125 in Alumni Hall, and I have a little espresso maker, as Drew and Anna know, that you're welcome to make use of. What was great about having office hours in like a public space, like the Mech Lounge, is that you get to actually talk to students. And so, you know, as I'm sitting there and student talks about something that's bothering them, I can chime in and say, guess what? You know what we should do? We should go right to this website and file that complaint, right? Or this is the person we can talk to, or what's that person's name? I'll follow up with them on that, right? So that's one way that I've been trying to do that, right? I'll admit that it's really hard to get faculty, right, to be involved in this, let alone students, right? But one way is really to come to our next Senate meeting. Our next Senate meeting is October 29th. In this room, there will be snacks.
At 3:30.
At 3:30, thank you. I promise the snacks won't be any good, but like there'll be like coffee and tea and like bags of chips. Wow.
So as a freshman, I'll start with this. My name is Ben, and I, along with the other two here, are freshman senators, so I'm not really sure what Academic Senate is. So how are the students that are on Academic Senate picked?
How are they picked? That's a great question. I just know that SGA picks them. So, yes, please.
Through SGA elections.
Sorry. Through SGA elections, that is how they are picked. I am like the spearhead of like SGA's Academic Senate, at least like the student portion. So I'm the director. All the updates I give are about revolve around Academic Senate. So I got picked by my peers. Nobody ran against me, so I guess I didn't win anything, but somebody won it for me. But yeah, and then after I got elected, the rest of the senators are also picked through elections. So all like the students who serve on the Academic Senate are all elected on SGA.
In the spring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the spring.
Yeah. And I'll say, you know, like I worked with Katie Conan. Is Katie here?
No, she's not.
Oh, that's
They
good.
usually don't come,
Oh, okay,
They
yeah.
usually don't come to Senate.
That's
They
cool.
come like once a month.
But I'll just say, it was great working with Katie on like revising the university promotion and tenure policy last year. She came to every single meeting. We would have 1.5 to 2 hour meetings weekly to talk about things like what is inclusive excellence, right? What would that look like for faculty members in the School of Engineering versus the School of Business Administration, right? You know, what is scholarly excellence? Who gets to define it, right? It was fantastic to have a student's voice on that. And on the executive committee of the Academic Senate, where we get, you know, weekly updates on path forward, we get on COVID, on vaccines, on the health of the institution, financial health of the institution. It is invaluable to have Jada there, right? Just having her there, the questions she asks, and the ways in which she engages our administrators with the rest of the faculty is fantastic. So you have a really fantastic representative in the room. The other thing that Senate does is we have a group called the Educational Leadership Council. This meets monthly. Our next meeting is Monday. It's all the deans, as well as Eric Spina, the provost, and Andy Horner, who's the guy who deals with all the money at the university. It's great to be able to have the executive committee of the Academic Senate, including the student and the grad student senators, get to be part of this consultative process, to have conversations about where is the university going, right? And how are we going to get to where our vision is? Excellent question.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Director Hall. I have like 2 questions.
Sure.
So my first question is, has the Academic Senate looked at any research out like from other institutions about how to better improve your policies?
Yeah, so that was pretty much the first half of the fall last year when we were looking at the faculty affairs, on the faculty affairs committee, looking at the university promotion and tenure policy. All these are available online, right? Most university websites are just filled with pages of policy, right? And so that's one thing we're doing on the task force to look at SET and campus climate. Let's see, what are they doing at Michigan? What are they doing at Western Michigan? What are they doing in Florida State? So we can look through these policies, identify what's good, what's bad, what would work here at Catholic and Marian's Institution, what might not. So yeah, that's probably like half my day.
How often do you guys do like campus climate like surveys?
So Senate itself doesn't do campus climate surveys, but the university does those, right? So the university did few years ago, one specifically looking at gender, and so looking at issues of gender on campus and gender equity. And that was probably 2018, 2019, I think that was. But we looked very closely at that data, right, when it's shared with us. And one of the things that it's good to have people who've been on the Senate for a while too, because we can continually ask those questions of the administration. Well, hey, in that, umami, study that you guys did, 5 years ago, it noticed that this was still a problem. Like, what are we doing to address this today, right? How is that work going? And so that's another thing that Senate gets to do, right? As faculty, we advocate for students and faculty to the administration. So, yeah.
And my last question is, do you require faculty to do, activities outside of the classroom to help, develop their professionalism and still keep in tune with what's happening on campus and worldwide?
Yeah, so I think it's different from like division to division and department to department. I think at UD there is a general expectation of some professional development. What that looks like is often very, very different. And I can say, like, just to be truthful and totally honest, before I had tenure, when I thought about professional development, I teach in the music department. It was only about music professional development, right? I was not thinking about, learning. I didn't have time to do all the other things that I wanted to do, right? Now with tenure, right? There's great opportunities, professional development on campus, right? In lots of different areas that aren't just music, right? The Inclusive Excellence Academy that Tiffany Taylor-Smith runs has fantastic programming that students, faculty, and staff can all take advantage of. And so I think it really differs from department to department, but one of the things that we're doing with this university promotion and tenure policy is we're expecting, right? In the policy, there is a requirement that faculty demonstrate a commitment to inclusive excellence in at least one of the 3 categories of evaluation. So that can be scholarship, teaching, or service. So professional development in terms of inclusive excellence in service would be great, right? But also if they did it in terms of teaching as well, or in their scholarly work as well. And so I'm anticipating greater engagement with professional development if this passes next week.
Okay, I'm Eleanor. Thank you for coming. My question, you were mentioning the SET surveys. Feels really loud. You're talking about the SET surveys and how you might be changing them. Can I just ask what is in the works for that? Because I know as a student, that's one of the only times we have to evaluate our teachers. So, yeah.
Right. So this is the issue, right? So faculty are saying we can't rely, and there are some departments on this campus that base all of their teaching, right, evaluation of teaching solely on the numbers in the set evaluation. How would you like that, right? Like if the only thing you were being evaluated on, right, was just the numbers in your set evaluation, right? Or your yak karma, is that what it's called? If that was the only metric of your popularity on campus, that's not a very good snapshot window into what you're doing as a teacher, right? So there's lots of faculty, there are some faculty, not lots, but some faculty that says, set is awful, we need to get rid of it, it is biased, it doesn't help me teach, I don't even read them, say some faculty, right? And then we have students that are like, hey, this is a really critical way for us to give feedback, right? But it isn't the only way to give feedback. And this is part of why we have, SGA and Senate is working together on this, because I don't think a lot of students don't know that they can talk. If there's a problem in a class, the set is the worst way to communicate that. Because, imagine, what department are you in?
College of Arts and Sciences.
And what's your major?
Pre-dentistry.
Pre-dentistry, right? So, like, you're in bio, like, let's say it's bio, I don't know, bio 101, is that a class?
Yep.
Sure, okay. Now, you had a horrible time, and you were all ready. That Thursday night, you wrote like 3 pages, just ripping this class apart, right? Now, who reads that? The department chair. But like, the department chair gets all of the sets from all of the sections of all the biology classes in late December, right? Does that department chair read all of that? No, right? And then a faculty member reads it, and then, but that's not a very helpful way to change the class if it's after the fact, right? And so, one of the things that what we might be, doing is encouraging faculty to seek input earlier, right? We have wonderful systems to the LTC to give faculty that opportunity. But also empower students, right? Let them know right from the very first day in the syllabus if there's a problem with the class, right? If there's concerns or questions, these are places you can go, right? Especially if it involves bias, right? Because faculty don't like to see, you've taught a whole class and then suddenly at the end of the class, right, someone says, well, this professor was really racist. And the professor's like, whoa, what did I say? They don't even know, they can't go back, they don't remember. And so we need to find better ways to communicate so when these issues come up, we address them right in the moment, right? But that requires training, right, for all of us, for students and faculty. So this is not gonna be a quick fix, right? And we're not throwing away SET. So don't worry about that.
Sam, can I add something?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think when you think about, like, reevaluating SET, like, you're thinking of it in a way that's like, oh, we're gonna change the way that, like, we assess, like the system of, like, actually, like, going in. Like, that's not changing. Like, you're still gonna have the same SET survey, ask the same questions about each of your classes. But I think, like, what Sam said, we're trying to provide more resources because it is helpful to have that at the end of the year. But, like, if you have an incident, like, in a class where, like, a professor says something racist or sexist, like, a student shouldn't wait all the way till it's set to report that. Like, that should be reported to equity and compliance. And you should know how to do that within, like, the professor's syllabus. Like, one thing that we were talking about in our SET task force was, changing stuff that professors could add to their syllabus if there was, like, a situation of bias. So, like, students knew where to report it in, like, the middle of the year instead of just waiting for, like, the set thing. And there's also something that's happening right now with professors where, like, they have another professor come into the class temporarily and, like, ask the students what they think about the class. And not all professors are doing that, but I know, like, my psych teacher tried to do that, and then, like, instead she ended up offering, like, an anonymous survey. So I think professors who are trying to, like, be more cognizant of, like, student feedback are trying to implement it more, and that's definitely what we're pushing for, not just in the task force, but just for Academic Senate. And I think something I also wanted to emphasize is that, like, when we talk about bias in SET, it's not just bias of what professors say in, like, the classroom. There are also a lot of, like, very hateful things that, like, students say to professors in, like, SET evaluations. Like, for women professors, it's very much like students comment on, like, the way that they, like, showed up to class or, like, what they wore, or, like, with professors of color, a lot of professors who may not be like English may not be their first language, they get a lot of hateful comments about like their accent or the way that they say certain words. And so like there's just a lot of hatred and stuff. And so I know that for the set event that like we're having with the LTC that we're collaborating with, we're also talking about healthier ways to make your sets matter more. Because you know you can rip into a professor and say stuff about like you say stuff about their appearance and like how they say things in their language, like that's not gonna help better the class. Like it's not. So like finding a way to say the problems that you had in a class in a very constructive way that allows for actual growth and for actual feedback and for the professor to kind of take what you say like seriously instead of focusing on just hatred and like unconstructive criticism is something that like we're definitely highlighting. So I just wanted to add that.
You know, thank you, Jada, for pointing that out. I'll just say, you know, I'll just share, be vulnerable here. Like, you know, it's really hard to get those sets sometimes. Like, it's like I honestly feel anxiety before I open them because, you know, I'm a white man, as you possibly can see. I'm also Jewish, right? There's not many Jewish faculty members at this Catholic university. And I haven't gone one semester without someone saying something in my sets that makes me feel really uncomfortable about that, right? Even if they think they're being nice. Dr. Dorf's my favorite Jew after Jesus. I got that one. But like, think about, like, it's kind of cute, right? But it's really like strange too, right? Or I've had, you know, a Jew shouldn't be teaching this class. And I'm a white man, right? I mean, those kinds of things are really common, and they're really hurtful. And we end up losing faculty because of these comments. And yeah, we need to find better ways.
To add on to that, at Senate caucus last week, we talked all about sets. And we talked about more of the hurtful side of it and how to overcome that. And I want your opinion on some of the stuff that we thought of, us senators. So we thought of possibly incorporating an automatic review that would be in place after you type out what you want to say. They would kick out the bad words before you can actually submit it. So that's possible. And then the other thing we talked about was having like a quick blurb before they even answer, a paragraph that would say, caution, reminder, do not. So thoughts on that, or thoughts to build off that?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are both great ideas. You know, I shared this with our subgroup where I went to did my PhD. We didn't call them sets, but the other another way that we can create some accountability is that the comments, right, were available to everyone on campus. So you can read any faculty member sets, but only if you did all of your sets the semester before. So it makes students actually do the sets, right, for every class. But knowing that they can be read, right, also sort of helps students think, okay, who is this for, right? It's for my peers, right? They should know that this class is really great and that, you know, Dr. Kinney is really great in office hours, right? And so really thinking about like that. But I really do like these two ideas. These are things that we can bring to the LTC. These you know, one other idea that has come up was the idea of making sure students do them in class, like in the before times. Back in 2010, when I first started teaching here, they came out with these like Scantron sheets and like little like golf pencils. You remember those, right? And like, you know, like actually this was really great. A student, I mean, people still said weird, you know, things about me being Jewish, but regardless, right? But you know, a student would come into the room, I would leave, right? And like a student worker from the music department would pass it out and like read this like little statement saying like it's really important to do this, and you know, and then the students would do it in class, right? And turn it in, and so that's another way, right? To ensure that it's done in class, and also to have peers, right? Peer mentors that can help, you know, students figure out the best way to communicate these issues. Yeah.
So what I was gonna add is, so Dr. Lee Dixon, who came to Senate, He's on the FAC, so he will.
SAPC.
SAPC, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So all of the information that he collected from Senate caucus that you guys sent will go to Dr. Sharon Grotto, who helps and serves on this set task force. So all the information and feedback you gave will be brought up in our meeting that we have this week.
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts, hopes, dreams? Oh.
This one we shared. Okay. My name is Jessica Garvin. Thank you for coming today.
Oh, my pleasure.
I just want to tell you all this is my first year on Academic Senate, and I really like it a lot. I serve as a representative for the natural sciences,
Yeah.
and we actually go over some really cool things. Like for example, there's 2 classes. I'm a pre-med major, so all the classes have to do with something you'd probably be taking if you're in that certain major. But anyways, green chemistry was one potential class that I'm talking about bringing on, which is kind of neat if you're into chem stuff. And then also too, like a Med 220 class, which is a community class where you're actually out getting volunteer hours and also patient care hours. So there's a lot of really cool experiences.
Yeah, so this is the Academic Affairs Committee
Yes.
of the College of Arts and Sciences?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you know, one of the great things about this institution is like on the unit level, right, so the college curriculum committee, right, where they vote on, should this class be passed, should this class not, like how should we make this class better? It's amazing to have students, right, at the table, right? This is one of the things I love the most about UD, right? So that's just at the college, but then at the university level to have students, right? You know, so students aren't on tenure and promotion committees, sorry, you know, but you know, like, but to have students weigh in on what that's going to look like, what substantive changes need to be made to CAP, right? I can't believe no one's brought that up here. I feel like maybe now people will. But, you know, what should those changes be? What makes sense, right? What are we getting? Are we really getting out of this class what we thought we were getting out of this class, right? It's invaluable to have your voices, so I'm grateful. Anything else? My email's there. Office hours in Mac. And you can email me if you wanted to swing by my office and chat. I'm in Alumni Hall 125E. And I told you, I have a little espresso maker. So if you like espresso, I gotcha. You can have trail mix. I usually have some snacks. So I'm also the Associate Director for Research for the Honors Program. So any honors students in the room? Okay, so if you're going to do an honors thesis, I'm the one who supervises all that. So here to help with that. But yeah, I am available, and I'm really grateful for all you guys do. Before I get off this podium, I do want to say a big thank you to both Hannah and Drew for their commitment and their willingness to engage with me, and Jada for her tireless work. Great. But also for all of you guys, and especially the students who participated in the vaccine teach-in. I attended as much of that as I could. And it was so, like, the most impactful session was not the faculty, sorry, but it was the student panel. The students sharing their stories about why they got vaccinated, the stressors that they had, and pressures from parents or friends not to get vaccinated, and why students have chosen to get vaccinated. It means so much to so many faculty that have parents and kids at home who can't be vaccinated or who are immunocompromised. So all that you have done as SGA to help get our campus as healthy as possible is greatly appreciated by the faculty. So
I don't think so. Yeah. Sam's awesome. Dr. Dorp's awesome. He's a great guy. Coffee's always good. I might be addicted to that. So, but other than that, I really hope this was informative and helpful. It's definitely something that at our level, especially as student leaders, need to know and need to learn about on the Academic Senate, because so many things that happen there directly impact us as students. As we went through the different committees, as we talk about inclusive excellence in the promotion and tenure line, and including that as we move forward with our 10-step plan of being an anti-racist university. You know, a lot of these things are really important and something that directly impacts each of you every day, since, as we all know, school comes first. That's why we're here. That's what Academic Senate focuses on. So again, big thank you to Dr. Dorr for being here today and for presenting all this information to us. It's very helpful, so thank you. We will move forward with any special requests, which I believe there are none this evening.
Yeah, there's no special request tonight.
Thank you. Are there any public announcements?
I can understand. So 3 things for you guys. I understand that some of you have been trying to submit like certain events and other requests through 1850. I don't really understand like the specifics of the issue, but this past Thursday.
Chris and I got that squared away this past Thursday. So I did not forget about any of you guys. It just wasn't coming through for some reason. But from now on, you can always submit certain requests through 1850. In any case I don't answer, feel free to always text, email, call, whatever. I don't care to contact me. Another thing, we've been working with Flyer PR. They've been kind of laying out like a social media plan for us. It's going to make our posts more uniform, and it's going to kind of help us build the SGA brand, which will be great. And lastly, my committee and I have been working on the Why I Mask campaign. So we've been noticing in our buildings a lot of UD students haven't been wearing their mask properly or at all. So we're just focusing on putting images of different students in a brief statement on why they mask. And with basketball season coming up, we wanted to put that in the arena and also in KU. And one thing I wanted to ask from you guys with this Why I Mask campaign, if you guys could email me just a photo of yourself with a mask, giving like a thumbs up or something, and just a brief statement as to why you wear a mask and why it's important. Like you can say it's for my grandma, for my friends, whatever. And just email me that, your name, your grade, and then why you masking that. That would be all. Thank you.
So this is my last Senate until our last Senate this year. Next weekend is trick or treat with my kids, and then I'm going on a 2-week cruise, which is 3 Sundays, and then Thanksgiving, and so I will see all of you in December. So I wanted you to know that. And while I am out for most of November, please feel free to rely on Meg and Amy. They are wonderful. You can copy me on emails for when I get back if you want me to know what's going on. But if you forget, you will hopefully get my auto reminder to ask someone else. So I wanted to also say you all have really jumped off to a great start this year, and so I'm really proud of everyone for just the incredible amount of work that we started to get going, and I look forward to seeing more. Thank you.
We will miss you, and I can't say I have to be a little jealous that I won't be on a boat for 3 weeks. That's just me.
And then I have a couple of announcements.
Push it up and then wait a second.
I have a couple of announcements. So thank you to everybody who's on a board, Issues and Bylaws, Judicial Review Board, JRAB, Judicial Review Appeals Board. So our first meeting for the Issues and Bylaws Board will be tomorrow. Our committee will be tomorrow. I believe I said 5:30 in the email. Nobody had any issues. If you have decided that you have an issue between now and then, let me know. You'll be getting a Google Calendar invite from me tonight. And then, yeah, we'll be reviewing, we'll be starting with the bylaws, reviewing the Constitution in the spring. So if you have any questions or issues with the bylaws or Constitution, reach out to those people who are involved in issues and bylaws, and they can bring your concerns to our committee meetings. So thank you.
I have an announcement. All right, whatever. I have an announcement about the blood drive that's going on November 10th. So SGA is co-sponsoring a Red Cross blood drive with PKE and UDEMS. And so we're going to split up volunteering responsibilities between the three of us. So each of us are going to contribute 7 volunteers. I haven't checked in a few days the volunteer list, but if you're willing to volunteer, check it. And if there's any slots you can fill, please do so. And I'll be signing us all up to donate. So if you can and are willing to donate blood on November 10th, check for an appointment that you can make. That's all I got.
Thank you. Are there any other public announcements?
I have an announcement. This week are the SGA town halls. So the freshman class is on Monday, sophomore class Tuesday, upper class Wednesday. They're all from 7 to 8 p.m. via Zoom. It's important that the senators arrive 15 minutes early so you can make sure you get a spot on the Zoom. And then the presentation will be shared with you tonight, along with invites.
Any other public announcements?
Joe, I just want to ask you real quick, are those town halls PATH eligible? I forgot to ask.
Yeah.
I gotta add, it's not too late, other senators, to send out a survey. We're doing that to our class. And write legislation, I need to work on that.
Any other public announcements?
If you are planning on sending a survey out before November 5th, send it to me for review. Afterwards, make sure Amy gets eyes on it. And issues and bylaws, if you can give me an update after your meeting. Thank you.
Any other public announcements? All right, we'll go into public comments and concerns. Hearing none, we will go into reports, which I think a lot of you did reports and public announcements, which is fine. But are there any other reports to be given?
Bye, Sam.
Me and Sam are besties. I hope everybody knows. So for me, PAVE is having a domestic violence awareness event tomorrow, based around Black media. So it's revolving around domestic violence in the Black community. It's the same time during the freshman town hall. So if you're not an underclassman, but it's also PATH eligible. And so it's definitely a way to expand your horizons if you've never talked about either domestic violence or you never really thought about domestic violence through a Black perspective. Definitely a great learning opportunity. And then we will be having, hold on. I gotta look at my Google Calendar because I don't remember what time it says. So we're doing our Degree Works event tomorrow at 7. So it's from 7 to 8. Also the same time during the town hall, but that is also PATH eligible, and so it'll be like beginners, so like underclassmen, freshmen. It's a great like pathway opportunity for people who are confused about degree works or maybe who need some advice on how to work with their advisor. That would be a really good event to attend to. It's also on Zoom. PATH eligible, I think I already said that. And then the last thing I have is that Academic Senate is this Friday at 3:30 from 3:30 to 5 here in KU Ballroom. Sam already went over that, but one thing I wanted to emphasize that Sam said was that they're voting on the new tenure policy, and that's like a really, 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 really big deal, especially since the tenure policy is mostly revolved around like diversity and equity. It's definitely something that I think could be consider the public comments and concerns, because I know some students are concerned that it won't pass. So there's definitely something to keep on your radar and something to look out for. If you're like concerned whether like people from your school are on board with the new tenure policy or are not on board with the new tenure policy, please come and contact me. because I know that I plan to send a couple emails to faculty who are on the academic senate to kind of emphasize like the importance of it on like my behalf and my position. So if you also want to write an email or you want a template for an email, please let me know so I can help you out with that, because it's a really big deal to me and it's a really big deal to a lot of other students and faculty as well. So that's it.
Hello. For Campus Community Committee, we're having, well, if anyone, we had an event last week focusing on Indivisible Disabilities Week, which was super successful. But this Thursday, we're having another event called Understanding Collective Trauma, which will be starting a series that I've been working on. So this Thursday, collab with Leah Ward, who's her, I think it's her master's dissertation is on trauma. So collective trauma, what does that look like? Then on November 9th, we'll have a Rest and Power visual, which focuses on what does collective healing look like in the community. And then lastly, we'll have our allyship presentation done by my committee members and members of our experience. And I'll definitely remind you guys of that series that is happening. Also, my committee, this week we are starting on turning bystanders into upstanders program. This was a program started by the previous I am struggling. The previous director, which is this program's focus on how can you give students confidence in stepping in when racial or bias incidents are happening. And that is all my notes. If you want to be a part of that Turning Bystanders into Upstanders program, just let me know or let your one of your colleagues, Sophia Garcia, know about that. Thank you.
So I also have a quick report, 2 things. So first, an update on the student engagement grant. So we were able to award 42 students at the university. So that goes towards helping students pay for their organization dues and fees. So it adds up to a total of about $5,500, which is pretty incredible. And then the second thing is this semester I'm going to be working on creating a video so we're going to be like reaching out to different organizations that we funded and try to pick a few organizations that we've had like a big impact on. They've used our funding from fall funding or special request funding to really make an impact on campus within their organization. And then so we're going to reach out to them, try to get them to submit like a 1-minute video, and then we're going to combine them all and just really be able to show what SGA does on campus. And then that video will hopefully go out before like spring funding, and then just be available for anyone to see all the cool things that SGA is doing to help the campus.
Bear with me. Thank you, James, and wow, that's a lot for our first time with the student engagement grants, and it was really impactful, especially when we go towards and look at our core values as an organization and a student organization, and giving that directly back to students to let them be fully engaged students here with taking some of that monetary worry away. So that's huge and something that's really big. Are there any other reports? I will go into my reports. So the Campus Safety Committee, Hannah and myself, met with Audit Risk Management and Compliance Office to confirm dates for a walking lighting tour of campus. So this is just something that the university has done every year, as long as my knowledge, and they really just walk around campus to assess what areas of campus doesn't have enough light, and really try to feel what students might feel uncomfortable, and that goes along with the bushes, the tree cover, lighting, anything along those lines, so environmental factors as well. Something that's new this year that has been changed by something of SGA's pushing is that it will be done via walking this year. So they've always done it in a van in the past. Something in a concern that we brought up is 90 to 95% of students aren't going to be walking at night. Aren't going to be driving at night. They're going to be walking. So really trying to feel how a student would feel. We shouldn't be doing these in vans. We should be doing them on foot. So that is something that we will be doing this coming Wednesday as well as the following Wednesday. We'll split the campus up in half, but really try to get that student feel of how they would feel at night and assess the lighting and try to improve that in that aspect. President Spina will be our speaker next week. So please, if you have any questions, to come prepared for those. So he's going to be joining us, which is something that's really special for Halloween. Hannah will send out an email following this with information on a resume and leadership workshop that Career Services is putting on for SGA members. So it's just for you all and for others. Jason Eckert, who's the director of the Career Services, will be putting that on. So that's going to be something really cool, and they'll have some information. Hannah will send out some information with that following this. Hannah, Mason, and myself reviewed applicants for a new senior representative this week. We moved on interviewing 3 separate candidates that Hannah, myself, and Senator Hennessy partook in. After a lot of deliberation and review, we did move forward with a candidate. So Ellie Claffida is here with us this evening. So we will be, hopefully, as long as you all are okay with that, passing this piece of legislation following this for you all to confirm that. Ellie has extensive community work and a drive for collaboration, as well as a passion to represent students. So we are very excited to have her joining us here and for the rest of the academic year. This is another reminder for all of you to update your headshots into 1850. It's really important because that's what makes our website look uniform. That's really important to me. We're also going to be using those headshots to put up a picture of all of us on the wall right outside of here, kind of that way near the CSI office, for students to be able to see who the representatives are. So that is a work in progress and will hopefully be coming next semester, but something that we are working towards. Hannah and myself met with Tiffany Taylor-Smith from the Diversity and Inclusion Office for our monthly meeting. That went well, and are continuing to talk about ways we can further collaborate. The Campus Safety Committee, Hannah and myself, all met with Public Safety for our monthly meeting as well. We talked about upcoming events that Campus Safety has in regards to campus safety, if you could guess. We also talked about the holiday weekend coming up. So as Halloween is this coming weekend, talking about some things that Public Safety are preparing to ensure that all of our students are safe throughout the weekend and are able to have a fun and safe weekend there. So the other thing that I wanted to show you, and I'll have Hannah or Lily send this out after. I get confused. I'm sure you guys are confused, as well as a lot of faculty and staff. So this is the SGA work chart. I'm not going to go into it in depth, but if you have questions on like who answers to who or where people are, or sometimes you have questions about the Academic Senate and how that works and how that plays into SGA as an organization, I think this is really an all-encompassing org chart that shows the depth and breadth that our organization has in connection to all of the areas on campus. So there's the other half of it. It also shows who's elected, who's appointed, which is helpful as well, not just for you all, but for faculty and staff, as Ben said, asked earlier, how you get on Academic Senate. So this is a really informative chart, as well as it kind of helps see how the organization is laid out. So that is all I have. Does anybody else have any questions for me before we go into Senate floor? All right, well, I believe I went through everything, and we will now go into Senate floor.
As has been stressed, next week is Halloween for Senate, so please don't come in costume.
We have spooky Senate.
Because of the president of the university being here next week, I will also discourage you from wearing a costume and ask that you dress up even more than normal.
That's good.
That would be very scary if you dressed up as me.
I'll look for a pumpkin tie. So seeing that, we will move into floor and start with attendance.
Okay, Taylor Beebe, Ben Bittner, Joe Blazer, Eleanor Blinko, Randy Borey, Bailey Brogan, Jada Brown, Ariana Callahan, Alexandra Edrington, Sophia Garcia, Jessica Garman, Graham Gearhan, Caitlin Hall, Daniel Hennessy, Joseph Maxfield, Kevin Parente, Molly Potter, Jack Santi, Ben Thomas, and Christian Valenzo.
Is there any old business to attend to? Is there any new business to attend to? Director Brown.
I move to bring Senate Bill 2122-14 to the floor.
Is there a second? All in favor of bringing Senate Bill 2122-14 to the floor, please raise your placards. All opposed? Senator Hennessy, would you present the legislation?
Does this work? There we go. Okay, so as President Boyer had said in his comments before we started Senate today, we had interviewed several seniors to fill the missing senior position. We decided to move forward with Ellie Claflin, so congratulations to her. And if we're going to move into voting to take care of that and then swear in after. Thanks.
All right. Is there any motions?
I moved the previous question.
All right. Is there a second? All in favor, please raise your placards at this time. All opposed? All right. Going into voting procedure, all in favor of passing Senate Bill 2122-14, please raise your placards at this time. All opposed? Abstaining? All right. Senate Bill 2122-14 has passed. The Speaker would look favorably upon a motion to suspend the rules so that Senator Clefaiта can be sworn in.
I move to suspend the rules.
Is there a second? All in favor of suspending the rules, please raise your flags at this time. All opposed? Right. The rules are suspended. President Moyer?
Now that the rules are suspended, two things. One, Senator Hennessy abstained from that vote and you missed that. As well as I gave Speaker Gordon 3 run-throughs of Senator Clafeta's last name and still failed. So I do promise that I attempted to educate him before this. Ellie, if you can stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the University of Dayton,
the Constitution of the University of Dayton
Student Government Association,
Student Government Association,
and will serve the undergraduate student body
and will serve the student undergraduate body
in accordance with the Catholic and Marianist values
in accordance with the Catholic and Marianist values
on which the University of Dayton is founded.
on which the University of Dayton is founded.
Congratulations.
The speaker will look favorably upon motion to reinstate the rules.
Motion to reinstate the rules.
All right, is there a second? All in favor of reinstating the rules, please use your placards at this time, or hand if you don't have a placard. All right, all opposed? All right, the floor has been reinstated. Are there any motions? The speaker would look favorably upon a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second? All in favor of adjourning the meeting, please use your placards at this time. All opposed?